Reverend Dr. Mae Elise Cannon. I'm the Executive Director of Churches for Middle East Peace. I'm in Beit Jala here with Reverend Dr. Munther. You know, I called you Munther Isaac for like years and years.
Isaac, it's okay.
Is Isaac like the English?
Yes,
way to
English
say it?
version
And
of
Itzhak.
Ishaq is Isaac.
How long? I've known you for like decades, and I've been mispronouncing your name.
No, it's okay.
Okay, Natasif, I'm sorry. Last time we were together was in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
in mid-December, and Churches for Middle East Peace with many other groups had the privilege of hosting you and Reverend Jack Sarah and Tamar Haddad. Tell us why you went to Washington, D.C. What was that all about?
So it's hard to believe that it's almost been more than 40 days since we thought we were advocating for a ceasefire, and that 40 days later or more, the war is still happening. We were basically in DC to advocate for a ceasefire at the Hill, the State Department, and at the White House. At the center of our advocacy efforts, then we held, I brought a letter signed from the clergy, the churches in Bethlehem, just before Advent, asking for a ceasefire on behalf of the Christian community in Bethlehem. We held meetings. I think in 3 days we held more than 45 meetings or so. Sometimes we split. We felt then that, you know, our voices were heard, but obviously now we feel that, you know, we question, is the world listening? Do people care about ending this genocide that's happening right now in Gaza? But we will continue, and you know, I promised friends in Gaza we will not stop until there's a ceasefire.
And did you feel like the messages that we took to the White House, the meetings you had on Capitol Hill, did you feel like they were heard? Did you feel like people listened?
Not by the decision makers, because you know, when we were there, there was a humanitarian ceasefire, and then when we went back, it immediately resumed. And it doesn't look that there is even a deadline or that there is even an end in sight. This is what's really frustrating. And right now, you know, we at least hope that the ICJ's rulings would at least put more pressure on Israel and its allies, because this is not only Israel. I mean, Israel clearly has allies, including the United States, and mainly the United States, that there will be pressure for this war to end. This is our hope right now.
And after the Washington, D.C. visit, it was just a week or two later, December 23rd, we had a virtual service that we broadcast, us, Red Letter Christians, Global Immersion, I mean, I think dozens of other groups co-sponsored it, and it went viral. I mean, we were talking about, you did the service, tell us about that, and also the way the world responded to your message.
So we did Christ Under the Rubble, or in the Rubble service, inspired by the manger we had at Christmas Lutheran Church of Jesus in the midst of the manger on the rubble, Jesus in the rubble. You know, trying to say what Christmas looks like in Bethlehem today. Inspired by this image that also went viral before the service itself on the 23rd. Everybody saw the image. That image of the manger spoke powerfully to the world. I think it shaped a lot of people's minds. It challenged a lot of people's minds about the nature of this conflict, and the fact that there are Christians, whether in Bethlehem or in Gaza, and the fact that we're differently against this war. I think it opened so many eyes. And then the service came. And before I talk about the message itself, I think what we did was a great example of what the grassroots movements could do together, when we don't underestimate ourselves and we think we, the people, meaning, you know, we in the pews, we in grassroots movements, peace movements, we who are on the ground, understand things. When we together lift our voice, not separately, when we unite and say something together, I think it's volume. And then now that I think of that moment on the 23rd, with the presence of a South African delegation, with others from around the world, but mainly South Africans, and now with the ICJ, you think how it's all connected. You see how we're connecting from different parts of the world, led by the Global South, to send a message to the world, to send a message to the leaders of the world, to the empire, really, that we are not silent, and we will hold you accountable. And maybe that's what stuck most with people about that service. The words that we spoke from Bethlehem, that we will hold you accountable, and that your silence is a complicity, your positions are, you're being complicit to it, and that, you know, these words that were echoed and quoted yesterday at the ICJ, where were you when Gaza was going through a genocide? We will not accept these words of apologies and even the efforts of charity alone after the genocide, especially since it's been broadcast live. The people of Gaza are sacrificing everything to tell the world what's happening, and yet we're still debating and deliberating whether this is self-defense, October 7th, and so on, and not really putting all our efforts towards ending this genocide. The sermon went viral. I'm still shocked and overwhelmed, but grateful for God and our partners. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who said, who reminded me that we always prayed at the beginning of this war, Lord, where are you? We feel ignored and not heard. I think the thousands upon thousands of messages I received, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands, because there's been, you know, tens of millions of views to this sermon. And the messages of support I received from all over the globe, and then having parts of that sermon quoted in one of, you know, something that the whole world was watching. Someone told me, you know, people felt proud that Palestinian Christians were represented. People felt proud. They said, well, Jesus' words, you know, were in that call. And I think as a Palestinian, I feel we were heard. And I'm grateful, first for South Africans, of course, their leading efforts. But going back to the 23rd, I'm grateful for CMEP, for Red Letters, for Global Immersions, for Telos, for the many, many others, the global ministries, the Presbyterians. I mean, Cairo Sabil here, of course. I'm grateful for everyone who joined together and said, we want this voice to be heard. We are not happy with this war. We want it to end.
And yet, there is so much work yet to be done.
That's the sad reality, is that you for a moment forget that, wow, this war is still happening after all of this, and after all of our efforts, because we're working tirelessly. We're working day and night, I know you are, just for this, and it feels many times deflating, and that's why maybe God gave me this passage in the Gospel of Luke about the persisting widow.
That's the passage we've been praying to.
Yeah, and the one I preached about in DC at the Episcopalian Church at the Hill. We need to keep persistent, if not for our own, you know, it's for the people of Gaza. We owe it to their sacrifices that we don't stop. We owe it to their, because they are sacrificing everything. I spoke recently to a group of doctors from the UK, and we highlighted the heroic efforts of the doctors in Gaza, the first responders who rush to a bomb site just to find a sign of life. It's and they are risking everything when they do this. And then the journalists, for example, and many others. But these three, to me, in this war. And I think that someone is risking everything to tell us what's happening. Can you imagine how deflating it is for those people? But they don't stop.
Right.
Look at Wael al-Dahdur. His whole family was killed. He didn't stop. So we owe it to them. We owe it to them.
He's the Al Jazeera reporter who has lost his son and his grandchildren and his, I mean, so many of his family members were killed. Yes.
So we owe it to them that we don't stop our efforts have for a ceasefire.
And we can't be silent, I think. And I think particularly for those who are listening from the United States or from Western countries who are choosing to be complicit in the war continuing, to know that we have such a critical role to play.
And not only that, please, we need courage. In a time when the people of Gaza are teaching us about honor and courage, yet church leaders, many of them are still cowards, not to call for a ceasefire. You know, let them call it a genocide, as I have done, and many others have, and challenge the world to see things as they are. Have some courage to speak on behalf of those people who are being massacred and showing us what's happening on a daily basis. We need to speak out. This is not the time for silence and complicity.
And there are opportunities, particularly Churches for Middle East Peace is based in Washington, D.C., so for people in the United States, there are opportunities to engage. We continue to have Wednesday prayer services. Thursdays, we do live briefings. We do daily videos every day to give an update about what's happening. But in addition to that, I don't know if you know, this Thursday, well, I'm sure you know, globally, it is a call to action on behalf of Gaza, a call for the world to call for a ceasefire. And in Washington, D.C., they're saying it will be the largest gathering, certainly since October 7th. And Churches for Middle East Peace and many, many other Christian groups are having a prayer service after the day. It's in front of the White House on Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday here we're having a service that will be streamed live. It'll be Sunday morning here in Jerusalem. It'll be the middle of the night in the United States, and I know many people have said we're going to get up to pray and to watch and to call for a ceasefire, and we'll be announcing here from Jerusalem, I mean we're in Beit Jala right now, but we'll be announcing an opportunity for engagement during Lent to work towards a ceasefire and to use our voices and to call for peace.
Well, I'm hoping by Lent
Inshallah.
to do this. I'm really hoping and praying that we don't have to do this by Lent, that we will be talking about how to restore and bring life back to us by then.
May it be so.
Amen.
May it be so. Thank you for everything you do.
Sure, thank you.
I'm grateful to be
Thank
in
you
partnership
for
with you.
CMEP, and let's continue to work together. This is our call.
Amen.